Hello my fiber art friends. Today we are going to learn how to cast on. This is our first step in our knitting series. You need 2 needles and your yarn. Let's begin. Take your yarn between your thumb and your finger of your left hand, leaving a little bit of a tail, about 2 inches. And we're going to make 2 loops. We're going to loop it with our next finger once. And when we do it the second time, our loop is going to go beside our first loop. So now we have the space between those 2 loops, plus the actual hole in the center of both loops. And we are going to weave our needle through. So we're going to go in between, underneath the first loop, over top of the second loop, and in through the middle of both loops. I'm going to pull the tail and the yarn at the same time, making a knot, and then just pulling the yarn to make that a little bit tighter, and we have our first stitch. To proceed with the rest of our stitches, we're going to need our next needle. So the needle that's going to have all of our stitches on it is going to go into our left hand. I'm going to bring the yarn to my right side and my new needle on my right hand. And let's make our next stitch. We are going to put our new needle into the same stitch, into that same hole as our first one. It's really difficult to try and do this if they're next to each other, so our new needle is going to go in behind to make a cross. We're going to take our yarn and we're going to go under and then over our new needle. We're going to hold the yarn and that needle tight. We're going to bring that new needle back and in through that same stitch. And now we have 2 loops, one on our left needle and one on our right. We're going to take the one on our right and put it back onto our left one. Just pull the yarn a bit so it tightens up, and now we have 2 stitches. From here on in, we follow the same pattern, which is not going into the loop, but going between the loops. So from here on in, you're going to find the space in between the loops and put your needle in between. Take your yarn and wrap it under and then over your new needle. Hold on to that thread and that needle tight as you move it backwards and back through that same hole, that same space. Now you've created a new loop on this side, and we're going to put it back onto our left needle. Pull the yarn a little bit so that it tightens up, and now we have 3 stitches. We're going to find the space between our last 2 stitches, put the needle in between that space, take the yarn, and go under and over that new needle. Hold tight because you're going to bring it in back through that space in that hole and then put it back onto your left needle. Just give it a little tug so it tightens up. Let's do that one more time. Find the space between your last 2 stitches and put your needle into that space. This is what it looks like from the other side. You're going to take your yarn and go under and then over that needle, holding on to the yarn and the needle. Pull the right needle back and pull it back through that same hole, holding on to that piece of yarn, holding on to that new loop, and then transfer it back onto your left needle. And now we have 5 stitches. So make sure that you're always from here on in going in between your last 2 stitches to make your new stitch and put it back over on your left. Make as many of these as you require for your project.